Okay, we are live. Well, and let's everybody see you. Well, hello everybody. Today we have Franklin Cooper with us. We are going to be talking about his comic, Back to the Roocher. I guess that is an extraordinary comics. Is that part of the
Yes, sir.
title?
We are the Extraordinary Comics Group,
Okay.
and Rue is our first title.
Cool. And I guess that's a play on Back to the Future.
Yeah, yes, it is. Well, the story involves Rue thinking that she's never going to be a superhero like her parents, and then her future self comes back to show her just how everything is. It's one of the stories in the anthology. So,
Cool. So how did you get into comics?
I learned to read when I was 3 years old, watching Sesame Street and other PBS shows, because I needed to know what Superman was saying in these comic books I saw. So it was probably 1971
Oh wow, that
was
is definitely a
was
long time ago.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm definitely old, but I'm also fortunate enough. People don't know how lucky we had it because when I was young, I could go to the newsstand and I could get comic books by Steranko, Neil Adams, Bernie Wrightson, Jack Kirby, Barry Smith, all
oh,
new on the rack.
oh yeah, that would be very good. Those are all fabulous names. Although they've developed them over years, so back then they were just another comic
Oh,
book
that,
person.
Oh well, comic books were something you didn't tell the girls at school about, or you were never going to get a date. So,
Yeah. Well, it might even be that way today for some people.
I don't know. All I know is that my first comic book convention in '86, I saw three bored girls with their boyfriends, and the last time I went to San Diego Comic Con, women were everywhere. So I
Oh,
think it's a great thing.
oh yeah, definitely. It's changed a lot. A lot more women, girls are into comics, and especially a lot of them are doing the cosplay thing.
Oh yes.
So I'm not sure whether they're into the comics at that point or the cosplay.
I think you have to be invested heavily in the comics to. I think you have to know a lot about the comics to get into the cosplay and do it right. So
Yeah. What to do it right? Yeah, you got to definitely do a lot of research on what the character looks like from various angles to make it.
absolutely, it's a very ingenious thing. So
Um, so what got you wanting to make your own comics?
the first thing I remember, I'm gonna name drop to my friend here, my famous friend. I'll do that a lot here. But when I was in high school, I picked up an issue of Nexus from First Comics, and I thought that it was the most brilliant character. And the more I read Mike Barron's writing on the Punisher, the Flash, I was very impressed. I wrote him a letter when I was 13 years old and asked him if he could tell me how he scripted a comic. And he sent me a hand drawn and written script of his character Clone Zone. And I always remembered that. And I used his style. And then years later, when I got on Facebook, he was actually the first person I sent a friend request to, which made my girlfriend at the time very angry. He was my first friend on Facebook, and since then we became actual friends. And everybody says don't meet your heroes because you'll be disappointed. But Mike is the most level headed, most ingenious, talented writer. He
Yeah,
writes novels, he writes everything. So,
yeah,
so, and I'm going to plug him before I plug me, but Bronze Star is on Fund My Comic right now, and it's a Western with Pat Broderick, and it's the most amazing thing ever. So, yeah,
cool.
if you
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Westerns,
And then
Yeah,
he's had the one Private American as well, I
Private
believe.
American, yes. Private American was banned by a lot of groups for no reason,
Yeah,
and he overcame that
which
because
is
he
good.
has a fan base. And I know Mike, and Mike is nothing like the other side would like to claim him to be.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I'll tell a story, and I don't know if I should tell this story because it might get other people to wanting to talk to Mike about this, and he'd turn them down. But years ago, I asked him to write a story for my comic that I could use so I could use his name, and he quoted me a rate about 1/10 of what he would charge DC for a story just to
Huh.
keep me honest, he said. So, yeah, Mike is a great guy. He loves his fans. He
Yeah.
loves writing. He tells me all the time, write every day. You're not a writer if you don't write every day. But he loved this concept. The concept is Riley Olivia Ortez, Rue,
Mm,
and her parents were superheroes, and they retired and moved to the Pacific Northwest so that she could be clear of all the drama and grow up a regular
yeah.
kid. And their old friend, the Wombat, who is a little bit goofy, he shows up on Walkabout, thinks they keep calling her Rue. He thinks she's a real kangaroo trying to pass as human to get away from natural predators. So he makes her a kangaroo suit and starts to train her.
Huh.
When I told Mike this idea, he said, "This is great. When are you going to publish?" And I said, "I can't publish, Mike." And he said, "Why not?" And I said, "I don't own the Wombat. You do." And he said, I'll never forget this. I won't use the actual word, but he said, "F it, use him. I don't care. Do whatever you want. F it. I don't care. Use
Oh,
him." So for
that
years,
is good. That is definitely
yeah,
is good.
and I will give a shout out, everybody that wants any Wombat background, Badger number 15 from 1986, I believe. I could be wrong,
Yeah.
and I hate it if I am, but Badger number 15, we have the first appearance of Wombat, and Wombat has no origin. Rue's origin will be in the comic, but at the end of the story, she says, "And now for Wombat's origin," and he says, "I don't have one," and walks away because sometimes a character doesn't need an origin. But we've got
Yeah. Yeah.
several stories. We've got a lot of uh, heroes, villains, and my artist said that since I was unsure about pronouncing his name, to just call him Danbrenus, Danbrenus, and everybody should be able to find him on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
Italian gentleman, fantastic art, no AI, not even any digital, all straight pencils, inks, a lot of detail. I call him John Byrne 2.0. He says I'm giving him too much credit, but anybody that sees his art will see that he is brilliant.
Yeah. Oh, that is good for sure. Uh, well, so how did you come up with the character of Rue, or
Okay.
your universe even, if you
Oh,
will?
well, my first character that was actually viable. I had a lot of Superman clones when I was a kid and creative writing in junior high school. But my character Dangerous, which you have some art for,
Yeah.
Dangeress, Dangerous, the Siren of Strength. She was my first character, and I just wanted. This was before the feminist movement. I am not a male feminist, and I think all of that stuff is nonsense. So prepare for a lot of hate quotes. But I think a strong female character is a good thing. But
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, just, all my characters are not gonna be strong female characters just to
No. No.
follow a trend. But
Yeah.
she was my, she
You're
was my
not.
version of Superman.
Yeah. You're not gonna
So
make them Mary Sue's, as I think the term is.
yeah, Mary Sue's. Yeah, that. Yeah. So she was my Superman, and I tied her in. I tied her into Rue by. She is Rue's great grandmother.
Okay.
Our serious superheroes actually tie in to Rue with all of her amorphoponic animal characters like Atticus Platypus and Werner Wallaby, and she has a superpowered babysitter because really there's no way to control her and Wombat unless you're pretty heavy-handed. They're always getting into hijinks. So, but we have a lot of interesting characters. We have Kevin Chameleon is a sidekick who he can talk, but he only talks when Wombat's around because
Yeah.
everybody thinks Wombat's crazy anyway, so they'll never believe him.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm more mean. What made you decide to create the character Rue, like the
Okay,
like?
here is the thing. I have a lovely little best friend who is a little California hippie girl, and she got married to a gentleman with the last name Ortez several years ago. And the character came up because she said, I'm having a baby and I'm naming the baby Riley. And I said, is that a boy or a girl? And in her little California accent, she said, Riley Olivia Ortez, dude, Roo, like kangaroo. And that was all it took. So so I shot off with that. Uh, the character Rue as an 8-year-old actually has my friend Liz's personality, and our first story was published in a regional fanzine uh, last year, and it was called Why I Hate Eight. And Rue didn't want to turn 8 because her babysitter cat, who was 16, told her that her stuffed animal friend wasn't real, and she thought, well, I'm halfway to losing my childhood and my friends, and so Wombat has to cheer her up from that. But we do have a lot of we have a lot of silliness, but we have some action.
Yeah.
Everything is all ages. We don't delve into politics. We don't get into social issues. I think everybody would love the comic book regardless of what their bend with social issues, politics, religion. We have no agendas,
Yeah.
and we just want our tag phrase is to make comics fun again. I don't remember. I think I might have been over 18. Well, no, I think maybe the first really adult themed comic, mainstream comic I remember reading was Daredevil 181, and it just blew my mind that here's Elektra bleeding out all over the street.
Yeah.
But characters had died, but all this darkness in comics, it's just gotten to the point where it just doesn't seem right to me that everything has to be dark, and
Yeah.
even the characters are evil. Even your heroes are evil
Yeah.
to some extent. So yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have some fun.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Trying to think of other questions. Okay. Okay. I'll go for a classic in some of these interviews. Who is your favorite superhero?
My favorite superhero is Superman, with barely edging out Captain America, and I'm more of the silver, early Bronze Age Superman. I don't, yes, Neil Adams drew a fantastic Superman, but Kurt Swan to me will always be the uh, greatest Superman artist of all time.
Yeah.
The Kurt Swan, Murphy Anderson Supermans of the '70s were the ones that I love the most. And then Captain America, Jack Kirby, uh, the golden age, the early silver age. Once it got into the '70s, '80s, there were a few J.M. DeMantis, I hope I say his name right, that were really great books. Um, but yeah, Superman has always been, and people recently, Frank Miller and Todd McFarlane both uh, called Superman boring, and to my reply to that is no one is more boring than Todd McFarlane. And Alan Moore has already given us the fact that, or I mean, Frank Miller has already given us the fact that he hates Superman. So, why wouldn't he say that? So, I
Yeah.
think Superman. I think the problem with characters right now are not the characters; it's the writers.
Oh yeah,
A
for
good
sure.
writer, a good writer can make any character great.
Yeah, for sure,
So,
definitely. And of course, the follow-up question to that is always, who's your favorite villain?
oh, my favorite villain will always and forever be Doctor Doom.
Ah,
Doctor Doom, as envisioned by Jack Kirby and John Byrne, is the greatest villain in comic book history. I'm a Joker fan, but not any Joker of the last 30 years. I think the Killing Joke is an overrated, unnecessary piece of work. Uh, I don't even think it was well written. If you take the Boland art away, it's mediocre at best. Watch the animated cartoon
yeah,
because it's the exact same story, only with crappy animation art, and you're sitting there going, "Well, this isn't as good as I remember," and it's the Boland art. Also, I think Moore was allowed to go too far. And I would like to tell everybody that writes Batman now that is using Batman The Dark Knight Returns as your template, stop. Batman was that was supposed to be an alternate future.
yeah,
Batman is not supposed to be young, going around beating people half to death and not using his detective skills. I'm going to name drop another friend of mine who helped me create my character, Phantom Avenger. Chuck Dixon knows how to write Batman. If
yeah,
you will please, DC, I know you don't care about good writers and artists anymore, but please let Chuck Dixon and Graham Nolan write Batman and draw Batman again, and then we can get Bane back. I would say my second favorite villain throughout all of history is Bane.
yeah.
Bane is the
Classic
most
Bane, of
brilliant.
course.
Yes, classic Bane. Well, I had a lady. I had a lady, and we won't call Karens Karens because that's insulting. So I won't call this Karen a Karen. But she was on Chuck's page, and we were having a discussion, and she said, "You're so racist." And I said, "How is he racist?" And she said, "He doesn't have any diverse characters." And I said, "Bane is Hispanic." And she was just like, and I said, "You're Googling it, aren't you?" I said, why do you not know this? Why do you insult someone without knowing that they're, and I
Yeah,
was telling my
yeah,
friend Liz years ago, I said, well, I guess this comic is diverse. I said, because Wombat is a indigenous Australian. And she goes, dude, Riley's half Hispanic. And I go, oh yeah. So see, you're not supposed to create a character. You're not supposed to sit down and go, oh, I need a Hispanic character. Oh, I need a white character. Let
yeah,
the character create itself,
yeah. You
and
just need
everything will be okay.
you just need a good character, and if they happen to be a certain ethnicity, fine. If not,
Yeah, it fine, it works. But recently, I talk about this. I mentioned
yeah,
him before the show came on. Ron Fortier, who lives in Fort Collins, Colorado, up for Pulp Novelist of the Year, brilliant man, and he loaned us or let us adopt his character Major Victory because Ron was always a Captain America fan, and she is more or less a female. I'm not saying that American Dream was plagiarized from her because I really don't think Major Liberty got a lot of play back in the day, but very similar characters. I call
yeah,
her the Princess of Patriots, and she'll be appearing in the Runiverse, the Extraordinary Comics universe. I need to shout out to Kevin Bird, who is my partner and writer and a brilliant man. He writes our comic Mantastic, which is a 70s disco comic. You can get it on Fund My Comic.
cool,
He's the
cool.
mafioso of Macho. And our letterer colorist, Doug Curtis, is as good as they get. So everything is
Yeah,
100% no AI. I know artists are freaking out about that, and I don't really consider it a good thing either. So I just want
Yeah,
everybody to know you're not spending your money on AI.
yeah,
So
yeah, for sure. I'm neither here nor there on it. Yeah, it could be a potential bad thing in the future. I played with it a little bit myself for my characters to see whether I could get it to do my characters. There's no way this thing came even close to doing my characters. So it's like
yeah,
it's not that good at the moment. Could it get better in the
no, I
future? Yes.
it might, but right now I don't see it being a threat to anybody but somebody like me who can't draw a smiley face. But
Yeah.
I
Uh,
told everybody, I said if I could draw too, I would have had comic books out when I was in high school. But finding an artist at any time period in life is, I told my artist Daniel, I said, artists are flakes.
yeah.
Artists are flakes. Neil Adams and Rich Buckler told me artists were flakes.
Yeah.
Rich Buckler and I had a great friendship. We met on Facebook, and he was a good man. And I always want to mention that he was another one of these people that told me keep pushing it. Just keep pushing it. When Chuck Dixon answered my friend request years ago, I was in shock because not only did he accept my friend request, he immediately started messaging me and talking to me about my comics. And I said, well, I'm getting a little bit old. And I forget how old he said he was. I want to say 35 or 36 before he ever published a comic. And
Yeah.
Chuck has written more comics than anybody in history now. So I consider that a good thing.
Yeah. My one of my people are here. Aqua. Hey, Aqua. How are you today? He just had "heyo" in the chat. uh, so I figured, you gotta acknowledge your chatters when they come by, at least. Um, so we're almost at the half-hour mark of talking, which surprise. So I guess we should go over to the campaign. Now you're probably not gonna see it in what's the name of it here? Thing.
Fund my comic.
Yeah, yeah. Um, no, I was just saying you're probably not going to see it in StreamYards, because I'm just gonna click a button here in what's it called, OBS, and it should come up, and everybody out there will see it.
Okay, well, if if you need any descriptions on any of the images, I know them inside out, sideways.
Yeah,
They're I talked to God, I'm name dropping like crazy today, but Trevor Von Eden, co-creator of Black Lightning, brilliant artist. He did some sketches for me once, and I told him, I said, "You treat my children well," and he said, "I've always considered my creations my children."
yeah,
And I think that's, if you're just looking at the monetary aspect, then you're not going to create a good product. But one thing I do respect Todd McFarlane for is he will never, ever, ever do any of his characters any other way than how he wants them done. So I can respect that.
oh,
Will
that that
Eisner and the
that that.
Spirit.
Yeah, I respect that too because I can be a pain in the butt about getting my characters right as well. Most of
Oh,
the
oh,
time.
I'll tell you.
Especially my favorite ones, the ones that are my certain kids or babies, as you might say.
Oh, yeah. No, Rue has a certain attitude. It's never going to change. And there are certain things that will never be brought up or things that will be brought up all the time. There's already, I have a friend, and I'm not allowed to mention where he works because he doesn't want me to, or anyone to think that they're somehow connected in promoting the comic, but he loves the comic. His name's Brian Weedman. He's in the industry, and he loved the comic so much that I created a character for him called the Lunatic, which is a cartoon fan who basically makes himself a living cartoon so that he can make Rue his sidekick. And Rue is like, that's not happening. So there's the Lair of the Lunatic is one of the stories, and there's actually a variant cover which I call it pre-code humor because it's a pre-code horror homage, but you'll see it on the
Yeah,
GoFundMe.
yeah.
It's an homage to Witches Tales 25, which was a very violent comic in the 50s from
Yeah.
Harvey Comics, no less. But we have in the original, a bellman is ringing a bell and the clapper is a human head. Well, on our cover, it's the lunatic ringing the bell, much to Rue's horror, and the clapper is her kidnapped stuffed animal friend Oogly Pup.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Okay, so
and
we got the page up here for everybody to see. I'm gonna read your sort of tagline here. That's right under your title. I usually do that for everybody. Rue One, back to the Rooter. All ages romp through the imagination of an 8-year-old superhero. Mantastic is an adult-oriented superhero slugfest. More. I think you meant and more.
more than likely, and you won't see that later tonight because I'll get on and change it. I've been losing a lot of sleep on this, and so is my artist. But we figure we'll sleep when we're dead, so
Yeah, yeah.
we're not really worried about it. But no, there are actually four covers with the comic. There's the Kielbasa cover, which is the living Polish sausage assassin. Thank you, Mike Barron, for just randomly throwing that name out one day. But
Okay.
I I texted my artist and I said, okay, I want guns and 90s stuff, and I want it to look like Rob Liefeld art, only good.
Okay.
So
So you
so
said.
we come up with Kielbasa, and then my artist spangled cover where Superman has an eagle on his arm, Wombat has a kiwi. Uh, the kiwi is named Karloff, by the way. They'll be
You didn't name it Booster?
No,
Oh,
what happened was that he looked so halfway sinister that I was like, his name is Karloff. And my artist said, why does he have to have a name? And I said, because you drew him and now he's a character. And
yeah.
so Karloff will be narrating Lair of the Lunatic from the Crypt of Karloff,
Yeah. Uh,
and we'll go from there. And everybody gets some free time. We got Kevin Chameleon. He'll be guest starring. One of the stories, Adventures in Dog Sitting. Wombat has to take Mike Barron's dog to the dog park, and Rue sits home and watches cartoons. And so Mike Barron will guest appear in the comic, and so will his real life dog Bob, who I
okay.
call the Hound of a Thousand Muzzles,
Yeah.
and he'll be in the story. And so we just have fun. We don't
Yeah.
we don't need a lot of seriousness.
Yeah.
The world is too serious. If you want seriousness, buy a standard issue DC comic. You'll be so depressed after that you won't even want to watch the news.
Yeah, well, I don't even. If you bought a standard issue DC comic, I'm not sure whether they're serious anymore
Well,
because.
I was completely done years ago, but if there's such a thing as so done that you've looped back around to done, Pregnant Joker did that for me. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Because, as you say, pregnant Joker, that goes into not seriousness. That just goes into
that
goes
seems
way
like that seems
beyond
like
stupidity, beyond stupidity.
it seems like that somebody that would create that would have some serious mental health issues, but that's not for me to decide. I'm no one's psychiatrist, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's
So this
very.
character Wombat is, I think you were saying off air, a character of Mike
He's
Barron's.
from he's from Mike Barron's Badger comic, and if you haven't read Badger, Badger is the original fun multiple personality disorder superhero. He's Norbert Sykes, which is one of his personalities. He's a Vietnam veteran, highly skilled martial artist, and one of his multiple personalities is the Badger, who is a superhero. And in Badger number 15. He goes to Australia and meets animal activist Wombat, who is more or less his opposite number. They're both fighting for the same thing, and I just always liked the character for some reason. He only appeared in a couple of issues of Badger. There is a new Badger novel coming, and Mike assured me the last time I saw him in person that Wombat would be in the novel, but I softened Wombat up a little bit. No swords, nothing like that. But still, I show a few things in Back to the Roots where Wombat's training Rue, and you see that he is a serious badass, but he has a very soft spot for Rue and the animals, especially the animals. But he was a character created by Mike Baron. Mike Baron has never once told me, oh well, you can't do that, or oh no, don't do that. I send him the stuff, and a thumbs up means this is good. If I get a brilliant or a this looks great from Mike, that really sets me off, because Mike is he's so good himself that he's not going to say something is great unless he really thinks so. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. And he's won 2 Eisner Awards. I've won 0, and will probably die before I do. But but
Yeah.
and Chuck Dixon has he likes this project. Ron Fortier,
Yeah.
who I've become more and more friends with. I'm actually going to write a story for his Airship 27 pulp magazine, uh, Men and Women of Mystery, and it's a story about Hugo Danner. And if you don't know who Hugo Danner is, then Google him, because very interesting character. And I take him past the end of his story, supposedly from 1931. So we'll go with that. We have over 300 characters in our multiverse. We're just
So,
barely scratching the surface.
sounds like my universe. I have like 400 or 500 characters myself in my
Oh yeah,
universe.
oh yeah. We've got them. We've got them stacked like cordwood, waiting in the back.
Yeah.
We've got
I
a brilliant we've got a brilliant horror anthology coming. If everything goes right with Rue, which I think it will, we've got a brilliant horror anthology that Kevin Burge is writing all of it, and uh, I'll just give you a little taste. Not of the most horrifying story, but we have the Transdemonic Express, where our hero Commander Mystery, who's a Victorian era superhero, for lack of a better term, he's fighting a steam engine from hell that's alive, and it eats its passengers. And then he finds out that all of the passengers are ne'er do wells, murderers, rapists, child molesters. And he has a quandary of, why don't I just let this train go?
Yeah.
But I'll let Kevin finish the story on that one. But it's
Yeah.
our horror stories are not going to be something you'll see Rue in.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So far you have 4 backers. You've got $558 US. You got 58 days to go, and you're going for $4,000. Ho- and so we're gonna go over the tiers now, or rewards, whatever you want to call them. They're different things on different
Oh
platforms.
yes.
So the first one is just the dollar tier, and I guess that's just somebody trying to help you out, with a little bit of money.
Oh yeah.
Or
If you give me $1, I'm gonna take. First of all, you're gonna get our newsletter, which will be like our bullpens bulletin. I'll write something for you and email it to you. Whenever we got a new project going, you'll see some art that we haven't posted on Instagram or Facebook. And if I get $100 worth of donations through the dollar contributions, I'll run a raffle, and you'll get a chance to win some original art.
oh,
So I don't want you to go away thinking that even a dollar doesn't. I don't want you to think that $1 doesn't mean anything to us. So we're uh, So yeah, a dollar or any contribution we appreciate, and you will get something for it.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. So up next is the $3 one, the official handbook of the Extraordinary Comics group. And good thing nobody's backed this one yet is because in group at the end of that title, you have two O's.
Ah, okay. That's that's yeah, okay. I can see that not sleeping and editing is not my forte, but I'm glad you're pointing this stuff out to me because I can get on after work tonight and fix all this stuff.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I've done that too. So I'm not complaining. I just thought you might want to know. they're,
Yeah,
they're,
well
they're
that is our call it what it is. It's a swipe of the official handbook of the Marvel
yeah,
Universe, the who's who in the DC universe. With that, we have all of our main characters that appear in the Rue book, plus our superhero characters, which are all in Saga, super agents guarding America, started in the Golden Age, and works their way up until now. Dangerous is the leader, and so yeah, you'll know all the powers, the heights, the weights, the things like that. If you want to throw them into your role playing game, if you play villains and vigilantes or mutants and monsters, champions, I don't know what the kids are playing as far as superhero role playing games these days, but you can use them in your games if you want to. I would love it if somebody would use them in a campaign and then take some pictures or send me a video. I would post it. If we have anybody that wants to cosplay as any of the characters, I officially endorse it. I would love it. Send me your pictures. I'll show them to everybody.
cool,
So
cool. And that's a 48-page book. So that's not.
it's 48 pages. It's done. It's ready. It's everything
Yeah.
will ship on time and fulfill.
And I don't think I asked, how many pages is the main book?
It is 68 pages.
Okay, okay, okay. So now we're down to the $5, the Majestic 20-page preview, full story in
Man,
focus.
that's fantastic. He's a disco era superhero. His nickname, his tagline is the Mafioso of Macho. It's a brilliant story by Kevin Burge. It's called The Greatest Day of My Life, The Best Day of My Life. Takes place on July 4th, 1976. Fantastic has to fight a character called the Louisville Slugger, and he's a prison escapee with the possessed bat of Ty Cobb, and it's a slugfest. It's brutal. It's not for the kids, but at the end of the story, it's what makes Mantastic famous in the Extraordinary Comics universe. And I think it's ready to go. Brilliant art. The art is digital. It's by an artist who I swore I would not give his name, but Marcos Martin. He's done some things for Marvel, but it's great art. It's a brilliant story, better than anything you're going to get in mainstream comics today. So,
Cool, cool, cool. And then is the Extraordinary Tales featuring Captain Cowboy. So,
yes, Captain Cowboy, who is this is a 1950s, 1960s story. Captain Cowboy is the son of Dangerous, and his name is Donald Patrone. And he is Captain Cowboy, his sidekick Latigo Lad. And this was modeled after the Jack Kirby monster books that I love from the 60s. They fight Gugoth, the Golem of Galaxy G. And I think that it's I'm just going to say brilliant art. I'm not going to say my own writing is brilliant, but I think I captured the Stan Lee, Jack Kirby feel with the story. So
yeah, it looks it. Looking at that little bit of art there underneath. And I saw that it's a 24-page book.
it's 24 pages. We'll have a new cover, different from the fanzine cover. that it was published in originally. And every basically, unless you don't want a comic signed by me, I'm gonna sign everything.
Yeah,
so
sounds good.
I doubt my signature will ever be worth money, but at least I do all the comics, so I'm not going to sign something and destroy the value by them going, hey, Stan Lee didn't write Batman, but so
Yeah. So, and then you have the $10 one, extraordinary ladies print set. So I guess
yes,
that's the
those are our full color prints. You get all of our ladies. You get Dangerous. You get Major Liberty. You get the Phantom Avenger, who was co-created by Chuck Dixon. Hint, hint. Everybody buy it. We've got the Scarlet Starlet, who is an Academy Award-winning actress in the Silver Age of Hollywood turned crime fighter. And then we have Cat or Gatita Mala, who bad little kitty, who is Rue's superhero babysitter.
yeah. And what size are the prints?
The prints are now you mean they are 16 by 24.
Oh, that's a pretty big print.
Yeah, they're big prints. What I like wall hangers. I my first print collection was again the Steve Rude the Steve Rude prints for the Nexus portfolio,
Yeah.
and I had them stuck up on my wall. Silly me, but
I have
uh,
a friend that was interviewing Steve Rude earlier today. Uh,
oh wow, well Steve is one of the most brilliant artists ever in the existence of the world, and if you haven't seen his art up close, his original art, then if you ever see him at a convention, go up and look at some of his art because it's absolutely brilliant. It's just mind-boggling how good he is. And I had the pleasure in 2015 of meeting him for the second time, and he remembered me from 1986 in 2015, which I thought was amazing. But I had gotten to talk, that's the first time I actually talked to Mike in person, and Steve was there. And Steve is just a brilliant artist. Brilliant. I can't say enough about how good he is. So, yeah.
and so up next is $20 US for plus shipping for the physical copy of Rue One Cover A, and signed by you, the author. So
Yes, that's our 68 pages, full color. Doug Curtis is doing our lettering, our coloring. I think he's doing a brilliant job. Daniel Denbrenna Spizzani, I'm going to go ahead and try and say his full name, is our artist. I call him John Byrne 2.0 with a better attitude, but maybe John's just cranky these days. but uh, it's just our little superhero, against the world.
yeah,
And there are several stories. We tell about her parents, General O and the Powerhouse, and they were superheroes right here in Oklahoma City, and they moved. They retired to the Pacific Northwest to try and raise Rue without all the superhero drama, but the Wombat came along, and that just didn't work out.
yeah. Hello, Pilfer Pup. How are you? We got Pilfer Pup Jaw as in the chat. He has a good channel.
Hello, Pilfer Pup. Nice to meet you. Hope
Uh,
you enjoy the book if you get it.
yeah, that's pretty thing. And then $35 cover A plus a Yet 55.
Yep,
So,
Yeet presents 55. That's the fanzine that Rue's first appearance was in. I'm terrible at this. I knew I'd be terrible at this, but maybe the next one I'll be better. But it's Rue's first appearance, and also Captain Cowboy and Latigo Lad. And then there's an end of credit scene, so to speak, at the end of the Captain Cowboy story where another hero pops up. But I'll let you guys figure that one out.
yeah, Pilfer Prep congrats me on getting 800 subs. Thanks. And he says, "Hi, pleased to meet you too. I'll check it out." Yeah, the link is to it is either in description or pinned to the top of the chat here for the campaign on Fund My Comic. So up next, you're doing great, guest speaker. Not sure who he is. This is Franklin Cooper, the author creator of Rue, Back to the Rooter, #1. And here,
That is me.
this so we got $50 here plus shipping for cover B. Uh, B for Boo Pre-Code Humor variant.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you were
Yes,
talking a
that's
little bit about this earlier.
yes, that's the cover from Witch's Tales 25 turned into a humor cover, and it features the first appearance of the Looney Tick, who, as you'll notice, bears a striking resemblance to a certain Looney Tunes Wabbit Hunter. And that is my friend Brian Weedman, who works in the industry and has a podcast of his own, but I can't tell you where it is because it's where he works, and
Yeah,
they're in no way connected or unconnected. So, but Brian Weedman is the lunatic, and he wants to turn Rue into his sidekick, the Rupacabra, and hilarity ensues.
sounds like he might have a little bit of Mr. Mixoplex in him.
Well, what happened is in his training to become a cartoon character, he dropped an anvil on his head. So I tell everybody he is a community college degreed mad scientist.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. Oh, and what are what's the shipping like on these books? Well, more well, I guess to the states, but also say Canada or other places in the
Well,
world.
in Canada, if anybody has ever shipped to Canada, they know everyone that I've ever seen charges $10 to ship to Canada. So I'm going to charge $10 to ship to Canada. But if for some reason I find out that it's less, then I'll throw a couple of bucks in the envelope, or I'll throw you a little something extra in there.
Yeah. Well,
Nothing is in stone with me. I grew up as a haggler, so.
yeah. Well, that's actually $10 isn't too bad. Most people are
No,
charging 20 or $25 to ship to Canada.
well, I know what it costs to ship one book to Canada, and I can ship a book to Canada that's only worth a few dollars. Now, I have shipped, $4,000 comic books to Canada, and it's more money because I'm using boxes and insurance and
Yeah, yeah,
things like that. But
yeah,
for a book, and you're not going to get your book all bent up like some people do. It's going to be in a heavy cardboard mailer. So
yeah. Pilfer Pup says that looks fun. Um, yeah, so shipping is usually a question I always ask about because, like I said, I make it.
everything except the original art pages will be $5 shipped.
Yeah, because me myself, like I said, as you know, I live in Canada, and by the time you buy something, the exchange rate on that, and then the shipping, and then the exchange rate on that, everything ends up so damn expensive.
I don't know if you've ever heard of this place, but I used to live in Point Roberts, Washington,
Um,
and it's a acapella. I can't say it, but three sides are water. The other side is Sawasin, Canada, and so I used to drive into BC all the time. I know about PST, GST, the exchange rate.
yeah,
I remember when there were $1,000 Canadian bills. That's so, and pizza at McDonald's.
yeah, same here. Well, I never. Yeah, I think Well, I've seen a replica of $1,000 Canadian bill. But I remember pizza at McDonald's. That was a short-lived thing.
Pizza and French fries at McDonald's was the best thing before we went to the comic shop, which was right across the street on Granville Street, Golden Age Collectibles. If any of you guys are out there in Vancouver, go in and tell Pat Shaughnessy, the owner, that Frank Cooper said hi and buy my comic.
uh, and so here's the next one. Cover C Wombat 1 Super. Basically a variation on the Superman cover, Superman 14 cover.
Yes, yes, that's where we have the. And Daniel just slid that in on me. I was looking at the roughs and I was like, oh yeah, this looks great. And he goes, can I keep the kiwi? And I looked, and he had replaced the the eagle with a kiwi. And I said, oh yeah, great, I love it. So when everything got finished and inked, I zoomed in on the kiwi. He had this sinister look on his face, and I said, he's Karloff the kiwi. And
Yeah,
so, and he has stories of his own, and Daniel says, why do I put so much detail in?
yeah,
And I said, next time draw machines or plants or something. I probably can't use them in a future story, but
yeah, yeah. And the reason earlier, I'm not sure I asked you, is his name Booster? I'm not sure whether in this community whether you've heard of Booster Kiwi.
no, no, I have not.
He used to be quite a bit on the fan edition of Drawn and Quartered. Again, I'm not sure whether you've heard of
Ah,
that.
okay.
Uh,
I've heard of it, but I've never really seen it.
Anyways, he was sort of the co-host. He's been around in the uh, comic skate circles and all that.
Oh,
Uh,
okay, okay.
and that's his name. He's called himself Booster Kiwi. He likes Booster Gold a lot, and he is from New Zealand.
Oh, okay, okay. I can get behind that.
So
Um,
a lot of people have drawn in their things every so often draw Kiwi, and it's supposed to be Booster. That's why I joked about it. Uh, up next is cover D, Bad Kitty variant.
that is Provost. She is Rue's superpowered babysitter, and she fights crime when she's not trying to keep Wombat and Rue from filling up the bathtub with Fruit Loops and chocolate milk.
Cool, cool, cool. And of course, that's based on the Adventures comic 48 cover with
Yes, the
Our
first
Man.
appearance of Our Man, who is my favorite obscure Golden Age hero. And Cat Provost is a real person living and working and being an amazing human being in Oklahoma City. So, known her since she was 16 years old. So, the character is a 16-year-old babysitter. And I try and base like if you're really a good friend, you're probably going to end up a comic book character if you want to be.
Yeah,
So,
cool, cool, cool. And then after that, we have the $100 tier. How do you rue? Introduction page 1 with original art limit 25.
uh, hold on. I think the is that the chromium cover, or is that the original art?
It says original with it
Okay,
says
that's $25 is the shipping on that, because that's actually the cover, the cover
the
for
original art
the
cover.
original art. Yeah, we don't care. We're not keeping anything. We'll sell the sofa if we can
Oh,
get funded where we can fulfill this. But we have
that
original cover art.
okay. It can't be it just be should be just original art, maybe not the cover because you
Okay,
selling
yeah, that's
20
probably, yeah.
because there's
There's
25 of them. You can't sell the original art of the cover
Okay,
25
there
times.
are those are the I believe those are the original art pages.
Yeah,
You just get an original art page, and it's kind of a first come first serve thing. The first people to buy are going to get all the splash pages. I don't have a way for you to request a page.
yeah,
So, but if you are one of the first contributors and you say, hey, I really like page 3, and
yeah.
page 3 hasn't been mailed to anybody, then yeah, you're going to get page 3.
Mm.
And then we have the covers are all sold separately now. The B for Boo cover, the Lair of the Lunatic pre-code humor cover is already spoken for. Uh, the
Uh,
lunatic, the lunatic Brian Weedman himself bought that, and he's not happy about it because I ruined his vacation, according to him, because he was saving for a vacation, and now he's evidently taken it to the lair of the lunatic. So
okay, so this next one, 150, says Rue number one plus a page of original art from the comic and signed by the artist.
yes, yes,
So,
Daniel is gonna sign all of the art in Italy. He's gonna ship it here, and we're gonna send it out with the people. Again, uh, flip through, some of the pages I've shown. Uh, Go look on my Facebook page, Frank Scott, and you'll see, his art, his
yeah,
pages, and there's a lot of brilliant stuff there. Not a bad apple in the bunch because the stories are short. So Rue, Wombat, Kevin, they're usually on every page.
yeah. And the pages are either from Rue 1 or the Yet Presents number
Yeah,
50.
from the you can get, if you want Captain Cowboy pages, just let me know, and I'll make sure you get Captain Cowboy pages until they're gone. But we've got, all whatever original art pages we sell are going to be published pages. I'm not going to, throw some. We didn't like this page, so we're not going to publish it, and we're going to throw it to the side. And
Yeah,
we know how original art works as
yeah,
far as auctions and sales and commission pages.
yeah. And then for 225 bucks, a Chromium Experience package, limit to
Yes,
20, signed and numbered.
you get signed and numbered all the variant covers in Chromium, signed by myself, Daniel, Doug, Kevin, and Mike Barron.
Wow.
I will take a trip to Fort Collins, Colorado, because my best friend also lives there, and so does Ron Fortier. And Mike will sign them for me because he's just that kind of guy.
Wow.
And so yeah, you get some nobodies, and then you get a double Eisner award winning author who wrote the best Punisher stories ever written. So yeah.
Yeah. Compared to the people writing the worst ones right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. Those are all terrible. We won't even speak of that. But there's Mike Barron, there's Chuck Dixon, there's Stephen Grant, and then uh, well, there are a few others. But anyway, I have to leave because I have to go to work. I did
Oh,
not even. I hate to break a great
yeah.
podcast short, but
Yeah. Well,
I didn't
yeah.
even notice the time.
Yeah, it's 6 o'clock. Or I think you're
Yeah,
talking in
5
Mountain.
here.
Okay. Well, well, it's been great having you on, and we were just too shy from being showing off the things. I think the original cover art with Rue wants you and the Killaboss.
Oh, yes, those are great pieces. And everybody, look at the crowdfund. Uh, and also look at the Fund My Comic for Bronze Star by Mike Barron and Private American by Mike Barron. I love our comic. His are both better, but just buy all three.
Yeah, and Pilfer Pup says, "Have a great day. Nice to meet you." So
Nice to meet you guys.
thank you for coming on. Don't think we got any sales for you this time around, but hopefully
Well,
people will see the.
maybe we'll get some backtrackers.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, thank you, sir, and
And whenever you
have a
finish,
great night.
whenever you figure out Discord, usually I bring people on through Discord. Um, you can feel free to, if I'm live, feel free to hop on anytime through my
All
Discord.
right. Well, thank you. Thank you. God bless everybody. And I got to go.
Okay, later.
Have a great night.
You too. So, guys, that is was Franklin Cooper with Rue One Back to the Roocher. It looks like a great project. Um, I forgot to ask him about digital. Fortunately, if he gets digital, I'd like to back. I might even back. It depends on finances. He's got like a couple months there left, so he's got 55 days, so just under 2 months. So yeah, hopefully I will be able to back that project myself. I say go check it out. It looks like a great project. It looks like you'll have a fun read. It's a great guy to support. It's from talking to him. Um, so with that, I'm going to end and say thank you for coming by. I will be on next tomorrow at noon, drawing. I'm probably going to try and draw Rue. And of course, tonight I'm going to be over on Hero Shack with Chris on his channel. Chris, this is Shack, Hero Shack, uh, talking about whatever they want. They're probably talking about their new campaign coming up for Cyclopean number 5. So go check that out tonight. It should start at about 9 o'clock. So again, thanks for everybody stopping by. We'll catch you all later. So bye for now. Love y'all. God bless.